Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylists podcast. I'm Emma Morton-Turner. I'm a freelance interior stylist and the founder of the website Inside Stylists. And today I'm going to be talking all about the building of your personal brand. And I think it's really easy as an interior stylist to think that we are just freelancers and we do work for other people. It's not about going and creating a brand. And when you think brand, you think logos and fonts, colors, all those sorts of things. But actually a brand is so much more than that. So today I'm going to be talking about building your personal brand, and it's something I've been researching for quite a long time. I'm a big believer, and I'm sure I've mentioned this 100 times on the podcast already, but I'm a big believer in if you hear something a number of times, like if you hear the same quote or the same topic 3 times, 4 times, there's something in it. And I don't mean when you hear the same person on lots of different podcasts or promoting their book on a topic. It's something, there's a nuance to it. And it's so interesting. I was listening to a podcast with a guest and he mentioned about being a personal brand. And then I listened to another podcast that had Daniel Priestley on. And Daniel Priestley, he is an entrepreneur. He was born in Australia. He came over to England to do some work. He worked with a businessman over here, met his wife, got married, and he's been living here, I don't know, something like 10 years, 12 years, something like that. But he built all these kind of networking things. And it was all about being your own brand. And the things he shares, and I've listened to 2.5-hour podcasts with him a number of times because he's so interesting. And as a freelancer, I'd never really thought about this. I've had a lot of coaching about it. I've had a lot of coaching and advice and being told, if you run a business, you need to be the face of that brand. And I always thought that I needed to be the face of Inside Stylists. I needed to be the face of the brand. But actually, as an interior stylist, I need to do the same thing. So I'm going to talk about what that involves, what it is you need to know about to be that brand. The other thing that came up was I was very lucky. I got a sneaky ticket to the Brighton SEO conference, which I'll be talking about in a couple of episodes because there was just so much going on there. Now, initially I was very lucky. I got a ticket, was given to me by Nikki Snell from Pressloft. And thank you for that, Nikki. So #pressgift. I thought I was just going to be to learn about SEO, maybe a little bit about AI and all that sort of thing. But actually I got so much more out of it. And there was a workshop that I went to, which I'll be talking about in a minute. And it was a masterclass. Her masterclass was just about being that key person of interest, being that brand. So I've got a lot of information that she shared. I'm going to share a few things from Daniel Priestley, and then I'm going to kind of smoosh it all together in an MRMT kind of styly and kind of put an interior stylist spin on it. Now, I always say interior stylist, but I'm talking about interior stylists. I'm talking about designers, writers, photographers, anyone who's freelance really can use this information. But it is very much aimed at interior stylists because that's what we're here for, right? So Daniel Priestley's book is called Key Person of Influence. He's got a few. To be honest with you, on a side note, I was really, really disappointed that he didn't read his book. It was his first book, and he's read subsequent books since then. But I really wanted his voice in my ear, not someone reading it for him. But he says that the best business card isn't a business card. It's when someone says your name in a room full of opportunities, and that's when someone else is saying it. You want to be known for something. So when you consistently share your ideas and what you do and how you do it, you're putting your own voice out there. So you start to become a go-to person. So whether that is for styling or photography or writing, anything that you do, the more people talk about you and know what to expect, it means you aren't going to be chasing the work. It comes to you. And that's because you have a really clear brand. So if you have a very clear brand, it means people will remember you and they will know that you are someone who is really into color. People probably would know me for I like to paint furniture and I like to buy vintage things. I'm always on a treasure hunt. I'll pull things together from secondhand shops and vintage fairs, and I like to go sourcing that way and paint things and do crafty things to bring a shoot together. I like to have things that no one else could have, so it's never things that are available in a shop. That is what I'd be known for. So if there's a really high-end, really minimalist brand, they're probably not going to come to me. They'll go to someone else whose vibe is that. So the thing to remember is you are your brand. You're not your logo. It's not your font. It's not anything other than you and who you are and what you do. It's how people see you, what they take from the words you say. If you do videos on social media, it's what you say and how you say it, the tone of voice, your voice when you're writing your captions, the values you have, and also, obviously, the style you have. And the chances are you're already sharing it. You're probably already sharing shoots that you've done so people know the kind of thing that you can show. Maybe you're sharing how your home looks. Or, for example, I love being outdoors. Although I'm not a particularly outdoorsy person, but I just like going on the dog walk. I like seeing the bluebells in the woods at this time of year. And I like seeing the trees all change colours and go autumnal. And I love walking through the snow. And I will always share pictures of being outside because I love being outside. So that is something that would probably come across. There'll always be a little bit of green going on somewhere. I'm pointing right now for those listening. If you're listening to the podcast, just know that there is now a video podcast. So it's always worth thinking about checking out the video if you want to see what I'm talking about. But I'm pointing to a plant pot that is behind me on my my dresser in my office. It's been twisted around a number of times so you can't see the not so green leaves. The little brown spots are hidden. At least some of them are hidden, not all of them. There's a lot on this one. Anyway, I digress. There was a quote that I wanted to share with you that I thought was really interesting. It's by Matt Lazenby, who's a top website developer or designer. I think there's a difference between designer and developer. He's a designer. So he says that your brand is the story people tell about you when you're not in the room. So make sure it's a good story. And this is where I want to start talking about the masterclass that I did when I was at the Brighton SEO. It was with Katie Thompson, and she was brilliant. She was really, really engaging. I mean, pretty much everyone. There was only one talk at the Brighton SEO conference, which was 2 days. There was only one person who was just so nervous that he couldn't get his words out easily, but he was still interesting. But Katie talked about how to be your own brand. And there's a few things that she mentioned that I've picked up from Daniel Priestley's book and I've listened to other people talking about. So there's a few things there that I would really like to include. So the main thing is to practice what you preach. And I think this is really important. I always say I try and give 110%. So if you want 2 vases for a shoot, you want an option of 2 vases, I'll probably bring 4. I want to make sure that you're expecting 2, but then you get the extra. I'm not going to just say I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually do it. And if you say you really like colour, I mean, I do really like colour. I'm being completely, I say, practicing what you preach, Emma. I'm sitting here in navy, but navy is my absolute favourite colour right now. But if I showed you my nails, they're bright pink. I love colour. So I will show you that I love colour. And it might be something as simple as my nails, or it might be how I paint my home, or how I do my makeup. I wasn't planning on saying that, but I'm wearing quite a lot of blue eyeshadow today, done in a non-80s, 60s, 50s vibe. There's another really great quote that I want to share with you by Stephen King, and that is, "Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass." Just, oh my God, that man had such incredible ways with words. So if I'm going to say I really like colour, I'm going to literally be showing you video. So actually, you probably have noticed, if you ever follow me on Instagram and you see me doing stories, probably more on my personal page than my Inside Stylist page, because I try and be all business for Inside Stylist. But when I share stories or come and chat to you to the camera on my MRMT Stylist account, my kind of styling behind the scenes with Inside Stylist account, I will quite often be in my kitchen, which is the brightest, well, it's not actually the brightest room in my house. It's white because there is so much colour going on. In fact, I will have to share a picture of my dresser because my dresser is bright blue. I've got a dresser which is green. I've got an armoire that is blue. There's a lot of colour. The legs of my kitchen table are orange. There's so much colour going on. So I'm showing you I like colour. That is what we mean by show, don't tell. The way you can do this is to demonstrate how you create the real details in your shots. Maybe you're sharing behind the scenes. Maybe there's a process. Maybe it's just sitting at your desk typing up lists of props you want to get from a prop house. It's that kind of what you do behind the scenes as a business. It really builds on your strong personal brand. It will help people to gain trust in you. And what that does is it demonstrates how detail oriented you are. So if you're sharing images or videos of behind the scenes, maybe you're talking about it on social media, maybe you're writing it on LinkedIn and you're talking about the process behind what you're doing on shoots, or when you're researching a feature, maybe it's how you've been changing the lighting if you're doing a shoot. That is strong personal brand, and that builds people's trust with you. Once they understand what you're all about, and if you're a photographer and you're saying, okay, we don't like to use lighting because it creates a yellow shadow and we don't want the harsh shadows. I like to shoot everything natural because it makes everything look more beautiful and the light is more gorgeous. I just remember always, whenever I shoot with a photographer and the lighting's great, you just can't get that at home yourself. You need a professional photographer with a professional camera. And that feeling of seeing a picture that has been taken in a room that looks quite gloomy, you just, oh God, I love it. I love that. That's what you want to share, the essence of that, because that builds trust. And that means that anyone else watching your social media feeds will instill so much trust in you as a photographer or you as a stylist who goes the extra mile. It's really good. It just helps your clients perceive what they're going to get when they're talking to you. And if you're pitching or you're going to people, maybe you're going to magazines looking for work, or you want to do a specific feature, or maybe you've got a real home you want to share with a newspaper, you will have the confidence to share what you have to offer them because you have got the kind of backing and the proof of who you are. And if they have never met you before and they're just popping on and checking your social media after you've sent an email saying, come and look at my social media, or let's face it, whether you say that or not, they're going to look at your social media and they're going to Google you. They will see what your vibe is and they will think this person is doing X, Y, Z, and that is good for us. We want that. That is how you get really good trust. Brand is all about trust. Another thing that Katie talked about was, I love this, she called it beat the ick. And the ick is networking. She said it was great to do networking. It was really good to go out and meet people in your industry. I think there are so many opportunities within the interior space to get connected with people. And I mean, I do coffee meetup and I will put on, we've actually got something coming up now with the House and Garden Directory. And it gives you an opportunity to meet up with fellow stylists, writers, assistants, and photographers. And then there'll be other people there. There'll be other brands. There'll be interior designers and there'll be interiors brands. By bringing yourself into a space where there will be other people in your industry, you're sharing who you are, you're sharing what you do. Just a general conversation might spark a whole new idea or a shoot or an avenue for a client you didn't know. So it's a really good idea to think about those sorts of events. And if you're really nervous, I always say go and do it anyway. And what Katie said, she had a couple of really good tips. She said, be the approachable one. Don't stand there on your phone, which when she said it, I thought, really? But I was like, no, I can see that. If you go to an event on your own and you don't know anyone, I can see how you would want to whip your phone out because you don't know anyone and you're like, oh my God, no one knows me and I don't know who to talk to. And they all seem to know each other and I've got no one to say anything to. I don't know what, that fear and that imposter syndrome creeps in. So I can see why people might stand there on their phone. But what she said was that a phone is a wall. You are putting a phone up in front of you. I'm on my phone. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. I'm far too busy to talk to you. I'm far too busy. No, you are not far too busy. You're there to talk to people. Put your phone away. The other thing she said was to research speakers and guests beforehand, because then you have a little bit of information. So it could be something as simple as if you go to Clerkenwell Design Week and there's a panel discussion and you know 3 of the people who are going to be talking on that panel, go follow their social medias, go see what they've been saying on socials recently. So that after the event, if they come down, which normally when there's panel discussions, people come off the chairs and come and mingle with the audience, you will have something to say. Oh my goodness, you just went to Cornwall. That looks absolutely incredible. You got in the sea. Was it cold? It looked absolutely freezing. There's a conversation starter, which leads me on to something else. She mentioned don't just talk work. She kind of was talking more about social media there, but don't just think you have to talk business. Talk personal, because you never know what you're going to have in common with someone. So if someone said that to me, I'd be like, yeah, I love Cornwall. I try and get down every year. I might be 52, but I'm determined to learn to surf. Right now, I say I surf. I don't. I kind of hover standing up and then collapse in the sea. Conversation starter. How relaxed would someone be if you start talking about that rather than going up to someone and saying, I'm an interior stylist and I'd love to do work for you and blah, blah, blah. Just kind of ease in really gently. You may know all this, but a lot of people, I see it time and time again. A lot of people very nervous coming up and talking to people who are, in their eyes, maybe they're massive on social media. Maybe they've got 100,000 followers and they just seem really, really big and untouchable. And people are nervous to talk to them, but they're just people like us. It's absolutely fine. Just find that common thread, or just comment on, I loved that picture you just put up in your home. Or if it's someone from a magazine, I love the feature in the latest issue. I just could not get enough of it. I just needed £40,000 to buy that designer chair. You know, anything. It's just that, making that connection. So always research the speakers and the guests beforehand. Now, if you are going on your own and you are a bit nervous of who to contact, there's an easy thing that Katie recommended. She said, join engaged groups. Now, this is a really good trick. I do this all the time, probably an ADHD moment, but I will always go up to a group that looks like they're having fun, and you can just join them, and they pretty much will just encourage you to join in. If I'm very good at this. In fact, I will share with you how I introduce people in a second, but if I'm ever in a group and someone joins in, I will always repeat something that has just happened or something that was just said to the new person joining the group, because I'm literally saying to them, you are welcome to come and talk to us. Come and join in the conversation. This is what we're talking about. You bring your two pennies within. We want to know what you're saying. But you can sidle in, even if someone doesn't do that, just sidle in, nod, just keep the conversation going, or just listen. You might find just listening is absolutely enough for you. You may just learn something new. And another thing that I've always done, now I won't believe me when I say this, but I'm actually very introverted. I'm an extroverted introvert. So I can go and talk to people, no problem, but I will need to have a day to recover afterwards. So the thing that Katie said was that if you're on your own and there's someone else standing over, you know, against the wall or separate, just grabbing a drink or something and standing there alone, go up to them and say, hello, are you here on your own as well? And just chat to them. Just have a conversation. Where are you from? Or what line of work are you in? Or what brings you here today? Don't make it sound like a chat up line, obviously, but just start the conversation with something really simple. It doesn't really matter what you say. The chances are that person is desperate for someone to come and say hello and get the conversation started. And then when someone you know arrives, you can then introduce them to that person. And then you've got your own little engaged group of chatting, huddling, giggling people. Now, I did just say that I would tell you the secrets to good introductions. Now, this can backfire massively. I am awful at remembering people's names. It's quite embarrassing how bad I am with names. If I ever don't introduce you by name, it's because I just don't have a head for them. So say you've got two people and you want to introduce them to each other. What I would do is say, Lisa, let me introduce you to Sarah. Sarah is an interior stylist. She lives in Brighton and she assisted me on this massive shoot, and we had to stand on the table to get overhead shots. My feet were all over the table. It was disgusting. Sarah. Lisa is a photographer. She just moved to Bath and we did a shoot where we had to shoot a Winnie the Pooh quilt. It should have been the easiest thing in the world. It was an absolute nightmare because this quilt was made landscape, but it had to be a portrait. Because oh my goodness, it was a nightmare. It was one of the worst scenarios we could have had, don't you think? What was the biggest problem we had? You get the conversation going. So the key is to introduce someone by their name, introduce something that they do that the other person will be able to connect to. So photographer is stylist, there's a connection. Talk about something silly or an experience that you've experienced with one person, because that is a conversation. You had to shoot a Winnie the Pooh, what? That is a conversation starter. And then those two people who didn't know each other know something about each other. They know their names and they know what they do. It is a really good way to introduce people. And I love doing it as long as I can remember the people's names. Something else that Katie said was stop the sell. Don't go straight in with a hard pitch. Talk about life, talk about your interests, like I was just saying. Bring in the kind of the light-hearted chat and leave the serious stuff for later on when you're pitching or when you're in a presentation or you get asked to join a Zoom call for a meeting. Do that then. Right now, people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. This is where you get to do the know, like, and trust bit. And after the event, normally you will have taken someone's details down. 9 times out of 10, you'll probably take their Instagram or their TikTok handle. See if they're on LinkedIn. If you are doing business, you want to be connecting with people through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is absolutely on fire right now. Absolutely. If you aren't on LinkedIn, you are missing a trick. Get on LinkedIn. I need to get someone on from LinkedIn to come and have a little workshop advice call, because I think that would be so massive. And when you do that, the thing to do is to just drop them a line. Hello, lovely to meet you at the Brighton SEO event. I was the person who spilt coffee all over themselves or whatever. I'd love to stay in touch. Just drop them a line. To be honest with you, on a side note, if anyone ever contacts you and wants to connect with you on LinkedIn, always send them a message. If someone messages and connects with you, send them a message. Don't just blank connect with people. It's kind of rude. And also, who knows what the conversation is going to start and bring up. It's going to bring up more conversations and more likely to connect on a level where there might be work involved. There might be a client that they need a stylist for. You might have a photographer that they need. You just never know. And the last thing that she said, now this was more about putting yourself out there. She really said that if you want to push your personal brand really hard, it's a really good idea to put yourself in the position of being the person doing the talk. Maybe you could get on a panel discussion. Maybe you want to go and be a guest on a podcast. Put yourself out there so that people know who you are, because the more they know who you are, the more your personal brand gets pushed up and the more noticeable you are and the more hireable you are. But what she referred to was a talk by Amy Cuddy, and this is one of the TED Talks I watched absolutely ages ago. And she talks all about the power pose. And whenever anyone says Amy Cuddy and the power pose, I instantly go to Grey's Anatomy, because on Grey's Anatomy, they stand before they go and do brain surgery or heart surgery. They stand as if they are Wonder Woman or Superman. They stand with their heads held high and their hands on their hips, and they're pushing themselves out, peacock style, all big. And you can just imagine their cape behind them flapping. And this gives you a kind of a push of adrenaline to make you feel bigger than you are. Because when you're nervous, you crouch in. So whether you're going into a room for the first time with loads of people you don't know, or you're going into a panel discussion and you don't want to be put on the spot, or you're going to be the person giving the talk, do the power pose. Stand tall, make sure your cape is flapping beautifully in the wind, be really big. Don't crouch down and hide in, and take deep breaths. Be big, be the biggest you can. Something else that came up and has come up with lots of people, they apply for awards, be known for something. And there are lots of awards that you can apply for. I haven't done this, but I have seen people recently sharing awards they've won, and I can't help but be really excited for them. And I just think that is so good. If you are doing a designer award, I know there's a lot of interior design awards. If you apply for a design award, also the other thing she said was, people like poo-poo them and say, oh, you have to pay for that though. Don't you have to pay to enter? Yeah, everyone who enters has to pay. That makes it a level playing field. So everyone who enters is entering so that they can go to this big award ceremony, sit down with a really great dinner and a load of champagne flowing to win this prize. But they've all got to be kind of pitched against each other. So yeah, sometimes you have to pay. After this talk, I did go away and look, and I found one, and it was something like £1,200 to enter. And I was like, no, we're not going to be entering that one. But maybe there's a blogging award or a newsletter award, or there's loads and loads of different awards that you can look for that are within your sphere. Maybe it's an interior stylist. Maybe it's a magazine award, Stylist of the Year, Best Interiors Instagram channel. There's plenty of things you can find. So I hope that helps. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of a focus on what having a personal brand is all about. It is difficult. I know it's difficult. And it took me a long time. I used to hide. I don't know if I've shared this, but when I first did Inside Stylists, I found the whole thing really uncomfortable. I was setting up a membership website and I was asking my friends to pay for the memberships, and I found the whole thing icky, and I just wanted to hide under a duvet so no one could see me. And I thought that's why I was hiring a coach. I was hiring a coach to help me not feel that ick. And actually, she said, you have to get over the fear of money because you're providing a service that people are paying for, which I did get over. So thank you for that, Nikki. And she said, you need to be the face of the brand. And now I am the face of the brand. I'm not scared of it anymore, but it took a long time. So if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, just know that I do understand what that feels like. You will be all right. You will get there. Even if it means not putting your face on camera, just doing a little bit here and there. Maybe start by showing something. Maybe you've just styled up your bed. Maybe just take a picture. Maybe do a little pan across. Maybe start doing a voiceover. Make sure the chat in the captions of everything you're sharing is really you, really true to you, and start building that know, like, and trustability that really makes your personal brand all about you. Anyway, I really hope this has helped. I hope I haven't waffled too long, because I have got so much in my brain from kind of being a little bit fascinated by this for a really long time. And I hope you don't feel this is too off topic. I think it's really important, and I like to share the things that I've learned along my journey. So whether that's as an interior stylist or building Inside Stylists, the website, there's so much involved there, and I just feel it's really important to share. This isn't the podcast I was going to put out today. I was going to put out a podcast that was all about SEO and AI. That all the information I took from the Brighton SEO conference, but my brain hurt so much from writing it. I wrote the blog post. It's 3,000 words, and then I wrote a glossary to explain all the terms I've used, that if I was new to this, I wouldn't be able to get lost. I'd have something. I'm creating a downloadable PDF for people, so you could just download it and have it printed out while you're listening or while you're watching or just researching. That glossary is 1,000 words as well. So my brain was just fried, and I decided I was going to have to put that out as a blog post, and then we'll maybe record a podcast in a week or so. We'll see. Anyway, for now, personal brand, focus, enjoy.